Just a little bit more background on me. My first book, Adapt and Thrive, The Sustainable Revolution, was very much about the business opportunities that arise from the changes in society as we become sustainable. My next book, coming out later this year, is Green Outcomes in the Real World, which takes it forward into how economics and sustainability can connect together. And those of you who regularly read Sustainable Business Magazine will be reading my column as it comes out every month. I also teach at Henley Business School and do some consultancy, so that's where I fit in. And if we're looking at the threats and opportunities, it depends on your perspective. You might look at the immediate short-term business opportunities that come from the regulation coming in, or you might be looking at long-term strategic competitive advantage by understanding the agenda and really trying to exploit it. When it comes to the threats, it could be you simply are worried about compliance with regulation, but what you should really be doing is worried about that the whole structure of some industries is likely to change. And if you don't read the coming changes correctly, you could well find that a lot of companies just won't survive. Now, my perspective when I look at this is through three lenses when I look at the world. I'm a geographer. 20 years ago, I was doing research into global databases. The scientists then were very clear that there were problems brewing, and although David King and Al Gore came along later to bring it to a wider audience, we've known for some time that we need to make changes, and that's one perspective I bring. As a young undergraduate in the late 70s, as an engineering undergraduate, I designed a solar water system. Simple technology. Across a whole range of technologies, we have the technologies now. We don't need to develop new silver bullets, we have the technology. The third lens that I bring to looking at the world and society is now that I teach business strategy and work on business strategy with business, you see the huge power that business has to exploit commercial opportunities. When there's disruption, you can exploit it, you can drive change and make change happen. And when I looked at these three lenses together, the geographic imperative to do something, the engineering solutions and the business agenda, it wasn't connected. And that was the background to the first book I wrote. To connect them, we need a revolution. And I think there's still a slowness to understand the degree of change. The last 2 years has seen enormous progress in terms of the discussion moving ahead, but still government and business are not looking at the degree of change that's coming, and we need to understand that. When we focus on climate change, it leads you to focusing on carbon, and that's what a lot of the regulations are about. And of course that can give a fairly narrow response. And if you're interested in sustainability, as I am, and I'm sure most of you are, sustainability is a much broader agenda than climate and carbon. You need to understand quite deep-rooted change in society and how they interconnect together. One short example I think I'd just like to spend some time on is biofuel. We had an attraction that biofuel was going to be a solution to our problems, and the US and EU brought in targets for biofuels into the transport mix. 7 or 8 years ago I looked at this and we came up with conclusions from a sustainability agenda that actually first generation biofuels, where you're taking agricultural output that could be food and taking it into fuel, is going to cause problems, and it's not something to move forward on. And companies that have invested in ethanol from maize or biodiesel from rapeseed are finding that people are looking for ways to legislate against that, because the big advantage was second generation biofuels from waste products, or third generation biofuels from arid desert areas. These are where there's the huge potential. So the narrow focus that people started off with perhaps wasn't the best focus. That came particularly clear to me at a local authority near to where I live. In 2008, they brought in a fleet of 14 bioethanol buses. And part of the £2.8 million investment in this fleet was £120,000 to repaint and rebrand these buses. And it was a wonderful PR scoop at the time. They've now converted them back to diesel, and there's been an audit of this which has shown huge waste, because an analysis of that from the viewpoint of sustainability soon showed that that it wasn't a sustainable solution. And so there's a bit of a trap there. It seemed like a nice way to save some carbon, but actually it didn't fit with what you would see as a true sustainability agenda. Now, in my short slot, I just have a simple conclusion I want to make, is that whatever you do with climate and the regulations that are coming through with regard to carbon, it's got to be as part of a sustainable business strategy. When that strategy is in place, you can then tactically exploit the regulations. But if you're not careful, you can end up being attracted down a dead end because you focus too much on carbon. So huge opportunities in sustainability and huge opportunities from carbon reduction. But just be careful to keep it within an overall sustainability context. Thank you.